morning, everyone, and welcome to Fox 5 on Fox Local. I'm Alex Whitler in for Elise Edie this Veterans Day, and we have a stacked show for you this hour to commemorate our veterans, to thank them for all of the work that they've done for our freedom. So you are taking several live looks now from all across the country. We're focusing on local remembrance ceremonies and national ones. So you're taking a look from the Arlington National Cemetery, Sandy Springs, and Gwinnett County. We're going to talk about each and every one of these important events that's taking place. Of course, we'll check in to see who is being celebrated in what way. That said, though, we do want to keep you up to date on all things happening with the government shutdown. As many of you have heard, we could finally be seeing this thing come on down to an end. So last night, the Senate passed a bill to reopen the government by extending funding, but only through January 30th. So let's keep that in mind here. The bill includes 3 full-year funding bills for federal agencies, including the Department of Agriculture and Veterans Affairs, as well as full funding for SNAP and WIC benefits. That's been a big talker, especially here in Georgia, as people have wondered, how are they going to be able to put food on the table in this holiday season? Thanksgiving is just weeks away, and that is no cheap holiday. So that funding bill also reverses federal worker layoffs. It ultimately passed with 8 Democratic crossovers. I say 8, but there was also 1 independent who changed their stance here. Now, there are still trickle effects that are happening all across the country, one of those being travel. So when the shutdown ends, it could still take several days or maybe even longer for air traffic to return to normal. Airlines will have to work to untangle complicated flight schedules and recover from staff shortages that just can't be fixed immediately. The shutdown has forced about 13,000 air traffic controllers to work without pay. Some of them have had to choose between showing up to work where they're promised back pay or taking a pause from that job and picking up a side hustle. Some of them are driving for Uber or finding other means of making money because they had bills to pay over this 40-plus day government shutdown. Last week, the FAA reported that about 20 to 40% of controllers have been absent on any given day at the biggest U.S. airports during the shutdown. Now, there have been several implementations in place locally here at Hartsfield-Jackson. I remember our mayor offering up free parking or meal vouchers, anything as an incentive to keep the air traffic controllers showing up to work, because as you can imagine, they are the ones who keep us safe when we're in the air. They're the ones saying, all right, it's clear to land, clear to take off, we should pause. That's all incredibly important for our entire country, as much of the business we do relies on air travel. So Delta Airlines announced that it canceled nearly 500 flights under a government directive during the shutdown, that all cancellations through November 12th have been completed. The airline canceled 280 mainline flights and 215 Delta Connection regional flights. Additional delays and cancellations could still happen. And they put in a quote here that care for customers who have experienced cancellations and delays is their top priority. So again, trickle, ripple, however you want to call them, effects are still taking place. There are some other things that I want to just acknowledge before we get into one of our other live shots here. We could get a stimulus check. That's a big question from all of this. If you saw comments or articles online about IRS direct deposits, some of that is not true. Earlier this month, viral posts claimed a $1,700 stimulus payment was on the way. These posts appeared to reference Alaska's permanent fund dividend, which is a yearly payment eligible to people who live there, funded by state mineral revenues, not the IRS. So the stimulus check conversation, though, comes from Donald Trump's tariffs. So that is the thing that has a lot of us wondering, could some people see as much as $2,000 hit their bank account? Essentially, Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs against other countries could come back to your wallet. He said, if you're a high earner, though, you just won't see that money. What makes a high earner? That is yet to be seen. And now you're caught up on where things stand in that regard. That said, it is 11:05 now, and we want to check in with Fox 5's Chris Rosenthal, who was at an important Veterans Day event. It sounds like they've got some historic aircraft there. Chris, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So I am at Chattahoochee Technical College. This is the aviation side here, and you can see behind me there's a very special aircraft. I'm going to actually just flip the camera around and show you here. This is an N3N. This is a World War II era aircraft, actually used to train pilots for World War II. A very rare aircraft that they have here, and not just here for looks. It's here to be worked on. It's here for the aviation students here to work and get a hands-on experience with a historic aircraft and learn about where aviation began. And I'm joined by Alan Brusevich. He's here with Chattahoochee Technical College. And tell me a little bit about the history and the significance of this rare aircraft. There's only about 24 of them, right?
Yeah, according to what we can find on the internet, there's about 24 of these aircraft still out there in the United States. A few of them are flying, most of them are in museums, but I believe we're the only school that has one of these in our aviation maintenance training program. So the reason why we brought this in is because it's a piece of history, for one. Second is, for training on anything you train on, you start at the basics. And this is a very basic airplane. The only airplane that the Navy actually built. So they built this airplane back in 1939, 1940, and it's a piece of American history. So the students get to see the basics of this aircraft and how it was built and how it was maintained.
And what would an aircraft like this, what would it have been used for?
So this was a pilot trainer for World War II, built out of excess blimp parts from World War I. And the pilots would train on this first before they would go into battle into their regular airplanes.
There's some notable names that might have been in an aircraft like this, or even this one.
Yeah, our former President George Bush trained on an airplane similar to this before he went into World War II. So there's many people that flew this airplane, may have flew this actual serial number out there, but it's a very rare piece of historic aircraft aviation history.
Let's walk around. I kind of want to show you kind of the inside, the cockpit here. It's so primitive and so tight. I mean, what would this have been like for a pilot back then?
So for a pilot back then, this is kind of like your Snoopy with his scarf blown in the wind out there. Very few instruments, very basic instruments in the aircraft. But to take off on this aircraft, the pilot would have to sit in this back seat. He'd have to put his head out the side window and look in front, because he can't see the front of the airplane until the airplane actually gets level. Then he can look forward. So very unique flying airplane, very unique when aviation first started with an airplane like this.
Now, I think one of the questions a lot of people have, does this thing fly? Will you be able to fly it?
We hope to get it back to flying condition. We've got to do some recovering on the wings. That'll be a student project and some other things, but hopefully we'll get it back with it'll be in flying condition one day. But as students go through our program, they'll get to do a little bit of project and work on this airplane to get it back in that condition.
And speaking of students, you have students that are veterans. You have instructors that are veterans. I mean, this must kind of hit home for them.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's some of our veterans may have seen some of these airplanes right at the military bases that they were in. So this is I'm blessed to have a great staff of instructors out here that were in the military before and may have seen some of these airplanes flying back then.
Yeah, and we'll talk to some of those folks later in 2 and 3 o'clock hour. This was a U.S. Navy plane, and the manufacturer, who manufactured it's kind of significant.
Yeah, so this was manufactured. This was the only airplane that was manufactured by the U.S. Navy out of Philadelphia. U.S. Navy Aviation Aircraft Manufacturing Facility. This was the first and the only airplane that the Navy or any branch of the military service ever built.
Wow, and it's over 80 years old or so. I think we saw a tag on the engine that the engine was manufactured in 1943. So, I mean, a really significant piece of aviation history, and not a lot left. And it's really cool that these students, they get a chance to get their hands on it and actually, not just look at it, but work with it.
Okay, Chris, thank you so much for that. It's really cool to see all of these historic airplanes. Thank you. An appropriate day for it, too. Let's transition now to talk about your local weather. You are taking a live look outside at current conditions. This is always a gorgeous shot, but the weather doesn't always feel great, at least not today and yesterday. So let's check in with Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Jonathan Stacy, who's been tracking all of this cold weather for us. But you don't have to do it for much longer, I'm happy to say.
And we're counting down the hours, it sounds like. Well, we're starting to add some to the mercury scale, so we're counting up there as the temperature is slowly rising. Where the temperature is not rising is where it's still snowing. So let's take a look at Fox 5 Live Vapor Radar here. You can see high pressure is sweeping across the southeastern United States, and so that's clearing any precip out. And yesterday we had precip in the way of flurries and flakes and some accumulation, but it's up north where high pressure does not abide and reside that they are getting lashed with another wave of winter weather rolling across Lake Michigan all the way down into central Indiana. And yes, Chicago's getting even more snow. The snow that they got yesterday is now moving into New England. So the big question is, where in the United States is there snow on the ground? Well, specifically looking at the eastern United States, you have snow, well, across the Great Lakes, and maybe it's still a little bit early up there to get big time snow. In fact, there's some areas across northern Indiana that got more than 14 inches of snowfall over the past 24 hours. And once again, it's snowing there once more. Georgia got in on the action. Well, a few communities in the high mountains. You can see up here that most communities got in. We're between a coating to dusting, and maybe a couple locations coming in with a full out inch. But it's not going to stick around for long because the sun is out, and the sun may not do a good job at warming us up for today. However, that sun will once again serve as the key ingredient to melt away any snow that lingered through the overnight hours into the first part of the day. Current temperature right now in Atlanta is 34 degrees. Blairsville, where they did receive snow and there was snow on the ground and the grasses this morning, is now above freezing at 34 degrees. And we're going to continue our climb on this Veterans Day through the 40s, but it doesn't look like temperatures are going to manage to get into the 50s, at least to the north of 20. Down on the south side, you have a better chance. 51 for Thomaston, 50 for Eaton. We'll get really close here in Atlanta, but even with the wind still going, even if we were to make it to 50, it would still feel like it is in the mid 40s. And then tonight we take another tumble and stumble down into the 30s, but we don't stay down for long. We are coming back tomorrow to hit highs in the 60s. Well, that starts to sound like mid to early November at this point. 63 degrees by the 3 o'clock hour with plenty of sunshine. Tomorrow's a relatively problem-free day. As long as you have your jacket in the morning, I think you'll be fine by the afternoon to take it off. 66 is where we should be for this time of the year. We probably won't make it there tomorrow, but I think we have a better chance of doing that or even getting warmer than that for Thursday. In fact, I see some 70s in the forecast for the final days of the work week, at least by Friday, 71 degrees, and those 70s stick around right on through the weekend into next weekend, or into the weekend to come. By Sunday, we'll throw in a small chance for rain. At this point, Alex, the models cannot decide on exactly what it wants to do, but I will say at this point in time, if it does something on Sunday in terms of rainfall, because it won't be snowfall, temperatures are too warm, it will be the 5th Sunday in a row that we got something in the way of rain. Not a big time rain for every week, but it's been a trend here
Noticeable.
that Mother Nature has set her sights on the second half of the weekend.
Yeah, of course, because we can't just have a nice, bright, sunshiny weekend for both 2 days. Maybe someday soon.
We have to call off this week. We'll figure it out.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. I want to take a quick moment to let you all know that we are live streaming right now, however you do so, on your Roku with the free Fox Local app, fox5atlanta.com, and even on our Fox 5 Atlanta YouTube channel. I see this number is growing, the number of people who are watching in that way. That's what makes it a news conversation. So if you leave us a comment, we can see it and respond in real time. So good morning, and thank you all so much for tuning in. That said, I do want to pivot now to talk about some serious stuff. You heard Jonathan mention these cold temperatures that we've been experiencing. Well, citrus farmers are bracing for even more freezing temperatures. I want to bring in now Asher Red, who looks all bundled up, but you also seem to be in a beautiful citrus farm. Good morning.
Well, good morning. It definitely feels odd to be bundled up in this type of jacket in Central Florida of all places. But with the temperatures getting a little higher, some of these farmers here are starting to get a sigh of relief that maybe after this week it'll start to warm back up to where it should be. Now, cold weather is good for citrus. It makes the fruit sweeter, and that's because when the temperatures reach below 55 degrees but above 30 degrees, the sugars will go from the roots to the fruit of the plant, and that'll slow down that ripening process. But if the fruit freezes below 28 degrees for more than 4 hours, it could ruin the fruit.
Okay, well, Asher, I never knew that cold temperatures could make a fruit taste sweeter. So it just goes to show that there is a season for all things, right? Some of us want to complain when it's too hot, complain when it's too cold, but there is a reason for all of it.
Yeah, when you think of citrus, you think of warm, Florida. But yeah, no, you're exactly right. Anything below 55 and above 30 is optimal for the sweetness of that fruit. Now, when the fruit freezes, what it'll do is it'll bust the cells on the meat of that citrus fruit. We all know biting into an orange what that feels like. Yeah, so the cells in that will bust. You can juice it. You can make juice out of it. You can squeeze it, but you cannot, after it thaws, you shouldn't eat it. It won't sit right with your stomach. And that's what, one of the farmers here was telling me. But what they're doing to try to save their plants in case they need to do this, they have drip irrigation lines on these rows that you're seeing behind me. They have these drip irrigation lines, and what that'll do is it'll drip just a small amount of water directly onto the plant's roots, and that will intentionally freeze the plants. And so a layer of ice will then start to form around the branches and the fruit of the plants, and that'll insulate the warmer water inside the fruit to protect it from the cold air outside.
Mm-hmm. Now, Asher, if you don't mind me asking, just on a fun note here, you look quite bundled up. You are mentioning 50-degree temperatures. Where are you from? If you don't mind me asking.
I am from a small town in Tennessee called Tullahoma.
Okay.
It's about 60 miles south of Nashville.
Uh-oh, your shot paused
And not
on
have
us.
a jacket on right now?
Okay, I hear you now.
Oh, no.
Something about your jacket?
There we go. Yes, I could definitely go without the jacket, but I haven't A, had time to take it off. B, I'm just too comfy. Like, why would I get rid of it?
Yeah, it's like
great,
the
but also
Michelin
it
Man.
is when the. Yeah, I mean, when the wind hits and you're in the shade, it just goes right through also. Yeah. So it's also just nice to have it. But yeah, and I've seen some people walking around with jackets on. Some people, I don't know if Florida people own jackets, so some people walking around in t-shirts. But those people are rushing to the heat, though.
Yeah, sure. Either way you fit in, because Floridians, as someone who has ties to the Chicago area, can point out, they're a little dramatic when it comes to the cold. So I crack up when I see the big puffer coats down there in sunny Florida. Thank you so much for breaking that all down for us. Have a good time while you're out there. We are going to pivot now at 11:18 this morning to continue our coverage of Veterans Day, thanking the veterans who have kept our freedoms in place. We want to take you live now to a wreath-laying ceremony where President Trump is attending right now. Let's listen in. You are looking live at the 72nd annual National Veterans Day observance at Arlington National Cemetery. It's always a beautiful observance to watch, so somber but so important to acknowledge. President Donald Trump is participating in that wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I do want to point out that later on he's expected to deliver remarks. We see that crowd of people walking back up the steps there. This event is free and open to the public, again happening for 72 years in a row. Another commemoration, an observance, an appreciation of our veterans who have done so much to keep us free in this country. You can see the flags there flying in the wind in Washington, D.C. Again, always a stunning show of what our country stands for. There's several different events that are taking place, so you just got a glimpse of another one. That one appeared to have some sort of musical performance. We're focusing on lots of local events as well. So if you stay with Fox 5 Live here on the free Fox Local app, fox5atlanta.com, and the Fox 5 Atlanta YouTube channel, where a few of you are watching, you will see that we're going to take you to Gwinnett County, to Sandy Springs. These events are happening all over, not just the country, but the Metro Atlanta area. So I do want to keep you up to date with all of those events. Stay with us. We'll have much more for you right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to Fox 5 on Fox Local. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Alex Whitler, wishing you and all of our veterans, past and present, a happy Veterans Day, saying thank you for your service and for keeping our country free. We want to take you live to a local event that's happening now in Sandy Springs. One of our photographers, Austin Haygood, is there now bringing you these images. The city is hosting its 16th annual Veterans Day tribute. It's supposed to be happening right now at 11 a.m. a.m. I just saw a glimpse of it a little bit earlier. We might be having a little bit of a technical difficulty, but I'm actually just hearing in my earpiece that they're watching their own video. So it doesn't make sense for us to show it to you because we might not be able to hear it, but I want to give you some more information about what this event is. So it's at the Byers Theater at Sandy Springs Performing Arts Center, and it sounds like we are able to hear some of it. So I'm going to button up and let you listen in.
Should I just play the movie and sit down? Probably better, right? Thank you for the introduction, Mayor. Obviously, I'm privileged to be here back in my hometown. I'd like to share some reflections, some thoughts on my time in the service, and maybe also bring you in the cockpit of a Blue Angel airplane behind the scenes of Top Gun Maverick, that sort of thing. This exact scene, of course, is Tom Cruise. When we shot this, we were off the coast of Los Angeles. We took off from the Naval Air Station in Powell, Nevada, flew off the water, and then shot this final scene of the movie together. What's interesting about this is Paramount felt like the actors could act. They knew that they could go through their lines, they could do the right emotions, that sort of thing. But you can't act like you're under 7 or 8 Gs. You can't act like you're a birdie. You have to act while you're under 7 Gs. So the actors were with us in the airplane for thousands of hours as we flew. So when you see that, that's a 2-seat F-18 Super Hornet with Tom in the back and me up front. My involvement with this is because of my time with the Blue Angels. One of the things Paramount did a terrific job of is they looked for the recognized experts. When they made the first movie, a pilot, Art Scholl, passed away in the filming of this movie. And so they didn't want to have the same thing happen the second time. So they looked for the experts. We found the right dogfighting pilots who were the best dogfighters in the entire Navy. The instructors of Top Gun, they flew those scenes. When they did the carrier scenes, they used people who teach how to land on an aircraft carrier, and they brought them onto set. For me, because of my time with the Blue Angels and flying at low altitude, I was privileged to fly some of the really low altitude flights, the inverted stuff. This particular scene, let me walk you through. This is the funeral flyover for Iceman. No spoilers here, so I can die. My question for you from the 2 scenes you just saw, if anyone's brave enough to shout out, were they real or fake? Real. We're hearing mostly reals. So the answer is both, and here's why. The first scene I showed you was real in the sense that Tom was in an airplane with me, but it was fake because if you watch the movie, he's in an F-14. We weren't flying F-14. Does anyone know the country that was the enemy country in the movie by chance? It was Iran. They have F-14s and also 5th-gen fighters. This scene is also both because we flew it for real. This was me flying that fighter scene, but it wasn't 4, it was just 1 aircraft, over and over and over again. Multiple runs to get that 4 airplane shot. The interesting thing about this particular scene, and it was the first one I flew, and I shared this, I have a few veterans stories that veterans will appreciate maybe more than the traditional audience would. When I went there, this is in Point Loma. This is off the coast of San Diego, so just on the other side of the water from the Naval Air Station, North Island. I go up to this the afternoon we're going to film it. We shot this at sunset. Everything with Hollywood industry is about lighting. So they wanted the sunset shot. I drove up there at lunchtime. I wanted to survey the land. This is actually a bit of a hill, and it's a cemetery up on this raised plateau. So I want to take a look at it. I'm walking around, and as I make my way towards where the casket is, a 4-star admiral is walking my way. And we have an expression in the Navy, when in doubt, whip it out. So I saluted. Good morning, sir. How are you? I got to salute back. I thought to myself, what are the chances? There's only 5.
What a cool acknowledgement of Veterans Day happening right now in Sandy Springs, our local community. This is the 16th annual Veterans Day tribute that happens there. You were just listening to Frank Weiser, who's a U.S. Navy commander. And in case you couldn't hear all of what he was saying, I just want to let you know that he's a 2-time Blue Angels pilot who deployed to combat 3 separate times. And fun fact, he just so happened to fly one of the planes in Top Gun. So what, again, an appropriate acknowledgement of Veterans Day. We do have lots of other Veterans Day events to bring you to here this hour at 11 a.m. on Fox 5 on Fox Local. Hopefully you'll stick around. We'll see you right after this. 11:31 this morning on Fox 5 on Fox Local. Good morning to all of you who are watching, and thank you for watching and commenting on our Fox 5 Atlanta YouTube channel. I see you all are really touched to see the ways that we are covering Veterans Day. I see Margaret commented, God bless all our veterans, God bless the USA, and God bless us all. Amen to that. That said, we have an uplifting conversation to have for you. So the stories of service, sacrifice, and healing really just keep rolling on in this morning, but few are as inspiring as this one. So get the tissue boxes ready and prepare yourself to meet David Wood, a 28-year U.S. Army veteran from North Georgia, and his dog, 7-year-old Luce. And it's my understanding, David, good morning to you, that Luce has really helped you in this season of your life. Good to see you.
Everything I just did there.
Sharing all of these stories that preceded me with the local community about veterans and their contribution to our nation.
Oh, of course. Well, let's jump right on in. Tell us a bit about how you've served our country, and then I'll ask you more about how you met Luce.
Okay. Well, I actually joined the Army, as you said, 28 years. I joined the Army in 1967 as a young 19-year-old. With the idea, the patriotic idea of serving my nation and providing some sort of selfless service back to, our great country and our great republic. I joined as a private, though my father was in the military and he was a full colonel, and he swore me in, which was a very touching ceremony. I asked for 3 things. I wanted to go to Vietnam, I wanted to be a paratrooper, and I also wanted to go ahead and be an infantryman. And lo and behold, the recruiter was so happy and accommodating that he gave me all 3 choices. So I spent my first tour in Vietnam, about 6 months. I was wounded. And I had doubts of whether I wanted to go ahead and continue in the service. I came back and I actually applied for OCS and went through the Officer Candidate Program. One of the things that made me, again, consider staying in the military and also serving our country is my brother was killed in Vietnam during my period.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And so I went back to Vietnam a second tour. And I flew helicopters my second tour, which was, again, an interesting experience being a young infantryman on the ground my first tour. I decided to track infantry instead of aviation and continued on with various assignments at troop levels and then also just different institutions like the Command and General Staff College. And my final assignment was at West Point, New York.
These conversations can sometimes be so difficult because I acknowledge we can't even imagine some of the things that you must have seen, that your brother must have seen, that some of your counterparts must have experienced. But it's my understanding that when you first met up with Luce, your dog, who we're going to learn more about, this became an outlet for you to help ease some of the burden of what you might remember from having a scene in combat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, PTSD is a terminology that has just recently come into existence. It's always been there in some shape, form, or manner for many, many years. And for soldiers of all nations, that has been a thing that they had to deal with. And being in the service, you really kind of put that aside because it's not manly. It's not something that is within the warrior ethos that you go ahead and feel that kind of is a decrement. That's something that makes you weak. I think we only realize that later in life. And I did kind of my own mapping and my own review of my past experiences, both in the military and after, and realized there was something there that was missing and that was wrong. And that could be in the form of, anger. That can be in form of some violent outbursts. That can be in form of actually just isolation and trying to forget. And you try to forget by isolating yourself. So I think that when I realized, and that's the very basic thing, is you have to realize there is something wrong and you have to seek help, and which is not a sign of weakness. And so that's what I did.
It certainly is not a sign of weakness. I just interviewed a veteran, 2 of them, on Good Day Atlanta in the 9 o'clock hour this morning. One of them has gone on to become an actor in Tyler Perry films and TV shows. But he said when he came back from his deployment, he didn't want to have to go back to his mother. He said he'd felt like that was a sign of weakness in and of itself in doing that. So it's interesting to hear that through line of how so many veterans have felt that way once they tried to transition back into civilian life. That said, this is a segment all about our furry friends and how they make a difference in our mental health. So bring me back to the moment that you met Luce.
Well, it was an incredible experience, because when I applied for Luce in 2020, I went through the application process, and I had did some research, and K9 for Warriors kept coming up as one of the major organizations that offered and provided service dogs to veterans. Now, keep in mind, their organization specifically provides service dogs free of cost. And people think, well, I'm just getting a dog. The entire process of getting the dog, the 3-week training program, the constant checkups with the veterans afterwards, in other words, the post-training, was just phenomenal. However, what I did is when I applied, my application process seemed to stop at a certain point. And I was kind of befuddled by that, saying, what's wrong with this? And when I contacted K9 for Warriors, they said, well, our policy right now is only for post 9/11, not pre 9/11.
Wow.
And I said, well, wait a minute. What about Vietnam veterans or Korean War veterans or Dominican Republic, Panama, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, which I participated in? And so, well, we're changing our policy. And lo and behold, I kept in contact, and they were incredibly responsive. And they maintained contact with me, and then the policy changed. So around September of 2021, I get the call from one of their distinguished individuals here saying that I won the lottery. And, I thought that was money, but no, they told me no, it was going to be a dog. And
Second best thing to money.
It is actually better than money.
Oh.
And so they actually accelerated my application, and they also indicated they had a dog for me. The most wonderful and emotional event was when they said, can you come in 2 months? And I said, absolutely. And so that organization, K9 for Warriors, I cannot speak. I don't have words to go ahead and tell how great that organization or this organization is. And so I came here and went through the 3-week training program with 6 other members. And I had the gift of Luce.
I'm just in awe at hearing the way you talk about this little creature, and I can see from the images that it really has brought joy to your life. I just would love to, with a couple of seconds left, give you the floor. If there's a veteran out there watching right now, what is it that you want them to know about this experience or trying to find help?
Yeah, I think that a lot of veterans, reflect upon their own inner self, and they wonder, and that wonder actually creates doubt. And I think doubt is actually a pain. It's an internal pain that kind of puts a barrier between you and seeking help. And also that creates denial that, oh, I don't have this. It isn't a sign of weakness to ask for help. If a service dog is the remedy, which for me it was, he has actually brings so much joy and companionship to me. I would encourage you, any veteran out there, to seek help. Seek help in whatever way that you think is necessary to go ahead and make you, the person that you want to be. To me, it was Luce. And Luce is actually what I describe as a 4-legged person. He's a companion. He's an amazing individual that when he looks at you, he actually looks into your soul with those eyes. So it's all of those things that I'm describing, the happiness and the joy and the incredible companionship that he's given to me in those periods in which I was isolated or felt alone, those are the rewards, and he's in a rewarding responsibility. So it's a two-way street. He gives me love, and then in return, I also give him the best love that I can.
I can tell this makes you emotional. And I do want to highlight just one thing that you said as we get ready to take a pause here. It is okay to not be okay. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what I get from your conversation. It is okay to acknowledge I need some help right now, whatever it looks like. For some of you who are watching, it just might be a canine companion. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much, David Wood, for your time. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and thank you for what you do for veterans, and God bless America.
Amen. Thank you. Please stay with us because we have other important conversations to have this hour, not just about veterans, but about Toys for Tots. They need something this holiday season. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Fox 5 on Fox Local. We're going to have a great conversation again this morning at 11:44 because 'tis the season for thanks and giving. Of course, you know that already. But we're paying attention now to the Chamblee Police Department and their 4th annual drive that has really made a difference for young children. So joining us now is Catherine Poe, who is representing the police department. She's a commander there and has really taken up this initiative that, as you put it, fell into your lap. So take me back to the moment that you learned about this toy drive.
So the nonprofit was actually formed in 2017 by Captain Ernesto Ford, who's since retired. And when he retired, the position actually just, like I said earlier, just pretty much fell in my lap. And so somebody had to do it, and they were like, okay, Kat, why not you? So me being me, I just took the helms and just went from there.
So then what is it? We hear of toy drives. We know of Toys for Tots, especially around here because we participate in it. But what is your toy drive and what does it do?
So our toy drive is actually for Chamblee Cop and Stuff. And what we do at Chamblee Cop and Stuff is we take several children from the community. We partner with the local schools to select these children, and the children are paired with an officer or a civilian or business owner or a sponsor, and they are allowed to go to Walmart and shop. We give each child the opportunity to spend up to $200 each. And with the toys that we collect from the toy drive, which is from Toys for Tots and the community and business partners, those toys are for the siblings. So not only are we taking these children shopping for $200, we're also providing Christmas gifts for their siblings as well.
Oh, that's huge. That takes such a weight off of some families that might need it, especially this time of year and with what's been going on in our country lately. So I want to acknowledge the name Cop and Stuff. Is that sort of a nod to the phrase, I'd like to go cop some stuff, you know, grab something?
Absolutely. When Captain Ford created it, I think that was the idea that he had in mind. Mm-hmm. And the stuff part of it is anything, because we're not only doing our annual Christmas shopping with the kids in the community, we also do back to school bash, research. We do humanitarian relief. We do mental health and wellness and all different types of initiatives. So that stuff can be anything.
Okay, so when you tell these families that they've been selected to participate, what's the reaction?
A lot of them are shocked. A lot of them are shocked because also with this toy drive, we collect Christmas trees, pre-lit Christmas trees and ornaments. What we found is that a lot of families don't have Christmas trees. So a lot of the businesses and families in the community donate trees. We also have them come in and help us set these trees up. So when we set up the decorations the day before the event, all these trees are set up, all the decorations, the lights. It's amazing and beautiful. So the families get to come in and they get to select the tree that they want. So we don't just give them a tree, we let them choose it.
And that's beautiful because no one wants to feel like they've just been handed something to make someone else feel good about helping out. They want to feel ownership in being able to decide how their own home will be decorated, how their own children will receive a gift. So that's beautiful to hear. That said, how can people help?
So they can go to our website, shamblycoppinstuff.net, and there's QR codes on there. We have Cash App, we have PayPal, we have Square. You can also mail a check to 4445 Buford Highway, Chambly, Georgia, 30341. Or you can always stop by the police department and ask for me.
Great. And you're so easy to talk to. I'm sure people really appreciate hearing all of these resources. I would have never guessed that you weren't the person who founded this.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And if you guys are interested in donating, we're going to have all of this information that she just mentioned listed, not just on fox5atlanta.com, but the free Fox Local app. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Well, please stick around because we have more toy stuff, if you will, to talk about. Again, it's the season for it, so stay with us. We've got more for you right after this. Welcome back. I want to take a quick moment to acknowledge those of you who are watching on our Fox 5 Atlanta YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Brandon Carmichael, for watching. To receive this comment really warmed my heart. I'll read it to you guys. It says, hello, my name is Brandon Carmichael, and I love to watch you guys every day, and I'm watching you all from Lithia Springs. So a local, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hopefully you all have enjoyed seeing our Veterans Day ceremonies and our acknowledgments, our thank yous to the veterans who have served our country. We're showing their photos as we we head into our quick pauses. But I do want to transition now and talk about the holiday season. We've got Paul Milliken, who is starting to spread the holiday cheer. Paul, you have been busy today. You acknowledged our veterans. You've been drinking coffee,
Yes.
having muffins shaped like skulls, and now it looks like they're building playhouses behind you.
We got a lot going on. It's been a busy day, but Alex, we're not fully transitioning out of Veterans Day either, because in just a moment here at the Home Depot headquarters, they're doing their Veterans Day big program. It's happening right behind me here. So it's a big day overall at the Store Support Center up here in Cobb County. It's a gorgeous day. And like you said, these playhouses are amazing, and they are going to some very fortunate families this holiday season. So we are launching the Toys for Tots season today. I get to read a proclamation by Governor Kemp coming up at 1 o'clock today, officially starting the season. And volunteers have been building these playhouses for 2 campaigns, one for Toys for Tots and also for House Proud Atlanta. I want to start with the wonderful, the one and only, my dearest friend. I just love this lady, Kelly with Toys for Tots. It's great to see you.
It's so lovely to see you as well, Paul. Thank
Here we
you.
go again, right? The season begins. How are you feeling? I mean, how is this shaping up so far?
This is incredible. This is far surpasses anything I could have imagined.
Yeah.
Been planning it since July with their team, and it's coming to fruition, and just it warms my heart very much.
Well, Home Depot, the Home Depot, is certainly a really strong supporter of the Toys for Tots campaign.
Absolutely. They've gone from saving us from stopping operations by providing the bags to the volunteers that come in and sort the toys, and now doing this incredible project here to give back to the veteran families.
Yeah, so let's talk about what's happening. You've got volunteers here today. They've been building all morning. They will build again later today. And where are these playhouses going?
There have already been veteran families allocated across all service affiliations to be delivered to the families directly to their home today and the rest of the week.
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this question. We say this every year. The need continues to grow. How big is the need this year for Toys for Tots?
This year is actually, you know, like you said, it always gets bigger, but in real numbers, we actually have 233 more agencies, nonprofits, churches, and schools that have applied than we ever have had before.
Wow, that much more. All right. Well, Erin is standing by, who is the executive director of the Home Depot Foundation. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. Tell me about the Home Depot Foundation, first of all.
So the Home Depot Foundation is our philanthropic arm of the Home Depot, and we do a number of things, but one of our biggest focuses is veterans and veterans housing all year long.
Yeah, so you're doing a Veterans Day program today. What's happening at that program?
So tens of thousands of our associates are military or military spouses like me, and so we honor all of them on Veterans Day. So we got everybody coming out of the building for lunch and to have a celebration alongside our Team Depot volunteers who are doing the projects here today.
Yeah, so talk about the project. They are building playhouses.
We are building 75 playhouses, a whole load of bikes, which you have seen, and other toys for both House Proud Atlanta and Toys for Tots, just to, you know, celebrate Veterans Day and give back ahead of the holidays.
Yeah, why is it so important for you guys to partner with Toys for Tots? Because every time I'm at the warehouse, and I mean every time, there are volunteers from Home Depot there.
Well, we volunteer with thousands of nonprofit organizations across the U.S., but we have a very strong relationship here with Toys for Tots in Atlanta. And so it's just important to take care of these families overall. And so year after year, they are here. They do fantastic work, and we're just honored to support them.
Yeah, well, we are honored to be here, and thank you again. And thank your spouse for their service.
Thank you. Yeah, we met at a Home Depot, Team Depot event supporting Toys for Tots, actually, many years ago. So.
Love connection through I know you love that, Kelly.
I absolutely love that.
That is very cool. Great to see both of you. Go get some food. We'll see them a little bit later. We'll be back in the noon hour, Alex, to show you an update again on all of the work going on here. There are just so many playhouses. You see all the vans back there. They'll be doing the deliveries later today. So the playhouses get loaded into the vans and then taken directly to families. And specifically in this case, these are veteran families who are getting these playhouses. So lots going on today. And again, I'll be reading the proclamation at 1 o'clock, officially launching our favorite time of the year, the Toys for Tots season.
What an honor for you to participate in that event, Paul. Thank you. I think I'm going to have to dub you one of Santa's official helpers, because what a huge event that is.
Thank you very much.
Yes, of course. Indeed. We appreciate your time, Paul. We'll see you right back here at noon. That said, with just a couple of seconds left, I want to say thank you to all of you who've been watching on our Fox 5 Atlanta YouTube channel, to Sean Porter, Brandon Carmichael, and Margaret. Thank you all for leaving us a comment. Stick around, because Fox 5 News at noon starts right after this.